Interesting facts about Boston. As one of the oldest towns in America, the Massachusetts capital offers an abundance of intriguing stories around every corner, from witches to sticky but lethal molasses. With its quirky layout and its long history of inventions, there are plenty of things that set Boston apart from other major cities. There are 23 distinct neighborhoods. Part of what makes Boston distinct is the fact that there are more than just a few districts that make up the city. In all, 23 very different neighborhoods comprise the entirety of Boston, each bringing their own personalities and cultures. The Back Bay, Beacon Hill and South End are each home to gorgeous streets lined with historical brownstones. Jamaica Plain and Roslindale offer an array of local community shops and green spaces, while Allston has the feel of a mini college town. Roxbury, East Boston and Dorchester are among Boston's most diverse neighborhoods, each with its own heritage and vibrant culture. And the North End and downtown are two of the most popular neighborhoods among tourists for their historical attractions, such as the Paul Revere House, Old State House, and Freedom Trail. It was once known as the Chalmette Peninsula. Before the Puritans arrived in 1630, many Algonquian tribes, including the Massachusetts, Pawtucket and Pocatucket, inhabited much of the region. They lived partly on what was called the Chalmette Peninsula. Chalmette is an Algonquian word, and while the exact meaning of it is unclear, it can possibly be interpreted as living waters. Eventually, European settlers took over the peninsula and diseases brought from overseas eradicated many of the Native American tribes. The Puritans ended up naming the city Boston after the town of Boston in Lincolnshire, England, where many of those European settlers had traveled from. Christmas was once banned for over 20 years. Among the odd blue laws that the Puritans put in place when they settled in Massachusetts was the outright ban on celebrating the Christmas holiday in 1659. Reasons for the ban varied, including the holiday's pagan roots and how it was celebrated, but there was a 5-shilling fine if you were caught in the Christmas spirit. However, after 22 years without a public Christmas, the law was eventually taken off the books in 1681. Many firsts occurred in Boston. Since Boston is one of the oldest U.S. cities, it's not surprising that it's seen many firsts. The Boston Common was the first public park in America, while, a short walk away, the Boston Public Library was the first free municipal library. The first subway system in the U.S. began in Boston in 1897, and that was undoubtedly protected by the first police force in the country, which began in the city in 1838. The Boston Latin School, founded in 1635, was the first public school in America, while Harvard is the oldest institution of higher education. On top of that, the first U.S. lighthouse, dating back to 1716, stood in Boston Harbor, and the first telephone call was from Alexander Graham Bell to his assistant Thomas Watson in his Boston laboratory. Catherine Switzer became the first female marathon runner when she ran the Boston Marathon in 1967, 5 years before women were officially accepted into the race. Finally, the first chocolate factory in America was introduced in Dorchester in 1765. Thank Boston for these inventions. Along with the numerous firsts Boston holds, it is also the birthplace of several inventions, some of which you may use every day. A Brookline man named King Gillette, who went on to create the Fortune 500 company of the same name, invented the first disposable razor in 1901, while the microwave was invented accidentally in the 1940s by Boston's Percy Spencer. For food lovers, the chocolate chip cookie recipe came from Ruth Wakefield of the Toll House Inn in nearby Whitman, Massachusetts, and marshmallow fluff came to us from Somerville, across the Charles River. Mark Zuckerberg also started Facebook while as a student at Harvard, and an MIT scientist invented the World Wide Web. There's no such thing as happy hour drink specials. While you can find happy hour food specials throughout Massachusetts, drink specials of this sort are outlawed throughout the state. Many restrictions on alcohol are left over from old blue laws, including non-standard closures on Sundays and holidays, but the current law banning happy hour is from 1984 following the death of a woman due to drunk driving. Massachusetts is one of 8 states in the country to have such a ban. It's the only U.S. state capital with a coastline. Even though Boston wasn't the first capital in the country, it holds another unique title to its name. It is the only state capital in the contiguous United States with an oceanic coastline. The Boston mainland consists of 47 miles, 76 kilometers, of shoreline, and there are 34 harbor islands, 8 of which are accessible to the public in certain seasons. Visitors have the chance to walk 43 miles, 69 kilometers, of the coastline on the Boston Harbor Walk, a public walkway that extends along the entirety of Boston's shores and beaches, except around Logan Airport.